And so I started using a computer, and I started working with this program called Max, which is a visual language that looks, well, you can see it, but it looks like
Right.
it looks kind of like those patch-based synthesizers. It's a bunch of boxes, and you hook them up, and they do stuff.
Right.
And I got really involved with that community, and I started working for the company that makes it, this company called Cycling 74, and we started...
So it started out as a software interface for the computer.
Yeah. Max was a program developed at IRCAM in Paris in the 1980s as a programming environment for kind of non-specialists. It's kind of like it's a visual programming language. It's more like learning a foreign language than a programming language. There's a bunch of boxes that are different words, and you hook them all up, and they do stuff. And it's very simple. It's a very simple kind of metaphor, and a lot of people like it. And then over the years, it added sort of real-time audio features, and now there's
as we see right now, it's picking up our speaking voice.
Yeah, so now this thing is listening to us, and this is something called Jitter, which I worked on, which is an add-on package to Max that lets you do real-time graphics, motion graphics, 3D video.
So you helped develop a lot lot of this software for these companies.
Yeah. So
are you on the board of directors in these companies?
No.
Damn it,
no,
we got to work on that.
For Cycling 74, no, I work as the, I think I'm the product manager at large, which I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it means I do a lot of writing. It means I can roam.
You can roam and write software anywhere.
Yeah, so it means I don't have to live. I don't live in San Francisco, I think is what that means. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a great company. It's a really sweet group of people, and it's a very exciting field, and we have a really nice kind of community of people who use it. So it's kind of nice because it's a real DIY program.
Right.
It's got that kind of punk aesthetic, like I'm making my own tool, I'm not going to use your tool kind of thing. And so the program by itself kind of doesn't do anything. It's just a whole bunch of boxes, and you can arrange them however you want. And so that's, it's really nice, and it's got this really great kind of user base and community, so you can sort of find people. You can be in, I don't know, any city in Europe or any, city in Japan, and you'll run into somebody, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I use Max. Yeah, I do."
Well, who are some of the more well-known artists that might be using it?
One of the things we do a lot of work in is sort of education. So a lot of people teach this stuff, and a lot of we're starting to move into kind of larger production venues with it. So like theater groups are starting to use this to control their lighting. Dance companies are starting to use it to control
that'd be
stuff.
really hip, so a voice cue would prompt the light.
Yeah, but you can do some really cool stuff with this, and it's sort of empowering. Like people really like to be able to make their own synthesizer, or make their own VJ tool, or whatever. And it's a way to kind of get around the bias that like things like Pro Tools might have, where you can sort of play it, but why can't you play it backwards? There's absolutely no reason you can't play it backwards. It's just they don't want you to, because a tape deck doesn't play backwards. So why would a thing? There's sort of these rules.
I never thought about that, Luke. Thank you. Thank you for really throwing me a curve. I like that.
No, but they're commercial. How
about GarageBand? Damn it.
Or GarageBand. Yeah, I mean GarageBand is actually is a really brilliant program because it allows you to make this stuff that sounds great right away.
Right out of the box.
But at the same time, it's like eventually you're going to hit a wall where you're like, how come I can't change time signature?
Right.
And how come I can't,
and the EQ settings are
and
like, are pre-programmed.
Yeah, so they're, it's basically, they give you enough to sound really good, but not enough to really like completely push off and do your own thing.
Own creativity. Luke, if I were to, let's just say, start this program today, how long do you assume that somebody, granted they only had limited amount of time during the day, really get to speed on?
Well, you can do. There's a really good tutorial system that was written by Chris Dobrian at UC Irvine, and he and me and some of my colleagues in the company have sort of expanded it over the years, and it's pretty great. You can sort of get up to speed on the program fairly quickly by just going through these tutorials. You sort of open these documents, and the first couple are kind of silly. They're like, click this button and this happens. But basically, the programming metaphor is really simple. It's just you hook up boxes that, you never have to worry about, syntax errors, and you never have to worry about, is your compiler working, and you never have to worry. There's all these things you just completely can kind of gloss over.
Now I'm noticing, like, you have names in here: Ralph, Mary, Todd, Dorothy.
Oh, that's those are the performers in a string quartet called Ethel.
Okay.
And I did a residency with them 2 summers ago at Mass MoCA, and this is a piece we did together, and it's for a composer named Neil Rolnick. Has a piece for them called the Shadow Quartet, and I did some.
So
video.
this is the art that you created for
so
that
this
piece.
was,
So when they
so
played, they would see your art. So in theory, with this program, you're really a binary painter.
Yeah, I think so. The way I kind of approach multimedia with music is I really like to work with video that kind of amplifies the performer.
Right.
So instead of, I don't know, I have sort of a thing against, you know, really loud amplified like classical music. Like I think it's kind of driving me insane. When you go to see a string quartet and
they've amplified Carnegie Hall,
and it's like
and
it's like you're listening to some like, you know, you're listening to like Van Halen. And so what I think is nice about the video is you can sort of amplify their presence, you can embody them, you can make these really simple kind of interactive things. You know, these are just responding to the volumes.
Right.
And if we had 4 people in an audio interface, each one would have its own kind of thing.
So the different colors are picking up the different tone textures?
Yeah, well, the idea is this is for a string quartet, so each guy would be a different player. And so since there's only one microphone, they're all kind of listening to everybody. But if we had, you know, if we wanted to, you and I could control them separately or something.
Nice.
Today's show is brought to you by DLO.com, Digital Lifestyle Outfitters. They have iPod solutions to help you enjoy your iPod experience, from car docks to nano gear to iPod shells, and of course, the always cool Home Dock Deluxe. Visit DLO.com.